So my sister has a Filipino nanny she lives in the Hamptons, right, in New York, but which is quite a wealthy area.
Yeah, what's she doing in the Hamptons? That's like Sex and the City
It's just
territory.
It's where rich people live.
She got out
New
on
York.
top in the mushroom game.
She was pulling the strings the whole time.
The whole time.
I was working for her.
Kevin Spacey, she just fast walks away as you're getting sentenced.
But when she was living in New York City, right, they had this Filipino nanny, which she still lives with them. And my sister was at work most days, and her firstborn daughter, Imogen, had a birthday. I think it was maybe like a third, fourth birthday. And so the nanny had this birthday at a park for Imogen with all these other kids that Imogen knew that were all there with their Filipino nannies. And so my sister took her lunch break off to show up to her daughter's birthday party at this park, and it's just the most hilarious photo of all these white kids within these Filipino nannies, and then there's one 6 foot tall white chick. So I said to my sister, I'm so glad you could you made some time in your day just to come to your own daughter's birthday.
How much do they cost?
A Filipino nanny.
No, the kids.
Here we go.
No, I did mean the nanny.
I don't really. I think they're quite expensive. Like for one of the ones that are like highly rated. They go from family to family for years. And then you hear whispers, these rich families hear whispers that one nanny might be
About to hit the market.
Their kids are about to grow out of needing a nanny. And so they'll be like, fuck, we've got to make our pitch. So I think they get like 60, 70,000 US.
They should do like the NFL, like a nanny draft.
Yeah, and you can trade them.
And trade them.
That's so fun.
But then they'll bring in like the whole Filipino mafia. They'll have like the husband is like, he's a gardener. That'll come in, and so you get a full Filipino
Workforce. Yeah, I was thinking of
Crime family.
Yeah, dangerous.
Well, especially because you hate The Godfather, if we've established. So you wouldn't have liked that at all if it was actually the Filipino mafia.
I think they need to reboot it with a female. Why hasn't that happened yet?
Godmother.
The godmother. Come on. Schumer would make a great godmother.
I'm all for it.
They did make a mafia movie recently with a female head. What was the name of the mum from The Sixth Sense?
What's Griselda?
Oh, no. Is that not the one you're talking about?
Who are you?
The Colombian one. The Griswolda.
Oh, the Netflix show?
Griswolda. No, this is something else.
Yeah, okay.
This was, what's that Aussie woman that was in The Sixth Sense? She played the mum. Anyway, she, usually this is where we need someone that jumps in with him.
Am I supposed to guess this? Because I'm Daniel today. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You mean Haley Joel Osborne?
No, that's
Joel
also
Osborne.
a bloke. So no. But anyway,
Haley.
Haley Joel Osborne.
Isn't that the kid? That's the kid in The Sixth Sense.
Ah,
The dude.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you
That's
got
amazing.
You got the movie right, but that's a dude.
A child.
Yeah.
So who would you like to play the godmother then? Godfather reboot. We've got to cast
I'm against female heads of crime syndicates.
Oh, it's too late.
I'm on the record.
It's too late. The budget's been funded. The movie's been funded.
Yeah, we've talked about this on the podcast before. It's not believable based on what I've seen in the real world.
Hammer would make a great improv partner.
Yes, no.
I refuse to. No,
Yeah,
but that would never happen.
Not even because he loves the Godfather so much.
Just unrealistic. I can't see it happening.
What do you mean? You can't see a woman heading up a crime family?
Not really.
Nah, they're cool. They're evil, bro. They got. Because that's why women always kill with poison, because they like think about this a lot. They're like how to murder and take over the world. You don't think they think about that?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a lot of pressure up top. You know, I think that once you win, once you eliminate your foes, then you've got to maintain power. And I think that's the time where if you're a female head, you're going to have guys being like, oh, she's shit at a job. And
if they've got to take 9 months out to have a kid.
And if suddenly they're erratic for a week every month.
That's so funny. The head of the crime family is being like, look, she's going to be on maternity leave at least twice in the first 4 years. We can't take over the 5 families with this girl at the head. Can't do it.
Why does she say... For 1 week out of every month, she wants to go to war with all the other families. And it's causing conflict.
What about the Star Wars female reboot? That seemed to be having a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah, did you like that, Hammer?
The Acolyte.
Sucked as well. Didn't it?
No. What about Ocean's 8?
Did you not watch it?
I watched it. I thought it sucked.
The Acolyte, the new one.
Oh, not the Acolyte. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the one with Ray.
No, that was
her name is.
good.
That sucks.
That was good.
No, you haven't even seen The Godfather, so you don't even know what's good. But no,
I haven't seen The Godfather,
Star
but I
Wars-
have seen Ocean's 8.
Oh.
Is that any good?
I don't know, probably not.
All that Ghostbusters with the chicks in it.
Yeah. Make another one of those.
Is this the sort of start you would have in Muggleton?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This is straight where we go to. I don't think this has ever been said by three dudes on a podcast before.
Oh.
Bro, the new Ghostbusters kind of sucks, right?
Write in if you disagree. I bet we'll get no messages. There we go.
We have female fans.
No, I think, but they're on our side. I think they've seen those movies and been like, no, they're right. They suck.
Yeah, okay. Frenchy, welcome to the lowest rung of comedy podcasts. We've taken about 45 minutes to get going here.
Flog Cabin, what an honour. Thank you for having me.
And why did it take us so long to get going?
Dan Muggleton isn't here and he does all the logistics. I'm still not entirely sure this is recording, but I think it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Why that be funny?
It could be good practice for tomorrow. We'll get you back in.
I think with that's the kind of luck where we'll have the hottest ep ever now. There we go.
That's true.
And then it won't record.
And it'll just be for us.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to...
Well, remember that time we hung out in that weird room and just laughed for 45, 50 minutes?
I've had that a few times when you record and then you do the whole podcast and it doesn't record and you have to do the exact same podcast.
Yeah.
Pretending you're hearing all the stories for the first time.
You run the same stories back? You don't try to find new...
Same one.
We're doing it right now.
Try to improve on them.
That happened to me. With my solo podcast that I used to have, I interviewed a guy who was he was a soldier who had PTSD, and we had this quite serious chat about him having these suicidal thoughts and all this kind of stuff. And then he went home back to Tasmania, and then the guy that I ran the studio goes, "Oh, bad news! The whole thing was recorded with you in robot voice." I was there, so when I heard it back, it was him talking normally and me going, "And how did you feel?"
How does that happen?
I don't know. They just obviously there was a button pressed on the fucking road or something. I don't touch a button because I'm afraid I'm going to fuck it up. But obviously something from the previous record, and he didn't check, and so it was me like, "When you were suicidal, did you want?" And I was like, "What do we do with this?" So anyway.
Hamo, tell me you didn't press the robot button. Please tell me that wasn't you.
So you did ADR for everything you said in that interview.
What's
What is
ADR?
it?
Oh, you re-recorded your audio to match your lips.
No,
audio.
I just it was too much work. I just continued the podcast.
Wait, did you ever release the episode?
Never.
So what, you've just never done it?
I've never done.
So
it.
he conquered his PTSD,
And
flew
we
all
had
the
this
way to
emotional
Sydney.
chat,
Yeah.
and now it's
It's like, finally, I'm getting my story out to the world. It's
Yeah,
going to be so healing.
I owe him-
No one wanted to listen to my problems, but Hamo wants to share them with everybody.
Man,
And now you're making me feel much
Hey,
worse.
Andrew, when's this coming out? Oh, I was in robot voice.
Fortunately, he's got PTSD.
Now he's making up some
I'm still-
shit. He was in robot voice.
Why am I
Just say
still-
you don't want to release it, bro.
But when I reply to him, why am I still in robot voice?
You can't help it. You're hooked now. I am hooked.
I'm hooked.
I write in robot voice too.
Fortunately, he's got PTSD, so surely it'd be pretty easy to convince him you never actually recorded. Man, we never met. I don't know who you're talking about. Just putting on Saving Private Ryan in the background.
No, when I go to Tasmania, I will definitely owe him a beer and an apology.
You think that'll do it? You think that's a fair trade?
Yeah, that'll do.
Beer and an apology.
Double.
What
What
more
are
am
you
I
doing the
gonna do?
double for, bro?
Double up a
Start
beer.
with one and see if you need the second.
Yeah.
Were you going to start with the... What would you start with, the beer or the apology?
Beer.
Start with the beer?
Because a few beers and you'll apologize for something anyway. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I just love you.
That's true.
Sorry, man. I shouldn't have put all your money in the pokies.
So, yes, that will be something. That's a bridge I need to cross sometime in the future.
So have you had the conversation with this guy about how his story is never going to be seen by the light
No,
of
I
day?
was hoping that he might listen to another podcast where I've mentioned it, and then he's like, "Oh well, that's at least I know what happened," and then we never have to actually talk about it.
So you've just completely you've just swept it under the rug
So far,
so far.
yeah.
I once
Do you ever
did.
just suddenly have problems and then you just hope if you just don't address it, it just will go away?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that happens.
every day.
Me and my other friend, Tom, we did this show on Channel 10. It's called Celebrity Name Game. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's with Grant Denyer. It's like one of those fucking celebrity heads, those sort of Family Feud type games.
Yep. How long ago was this?
It was a couple of years ago. We weren't the celebrities. We were contestants trying to win money from the celebrities. I think Dilrook was on it. And like Maddie J from The Bachelor or something.
Yeah, right.
Would team up. Each team would team up a celebrity and they'd help out. And we won. We won $2,000
Who are you teamed up with?
with Tom. And then, no, maybe the celebrities just sort of like helped both teams. Like said like.
Are you
things.
sure you weren't the celebrity?
No,
and Tom
I wasn't.
Was the
That's why
contestant?
it was kind of funny. I was like, oh, well, I'll go on anyway.
But in addition to the prize money, were you also paid like an appearance fee?
No.
No appearance
We
fee.
won, so we got it. We beat these two girls, our like 22 sisters, and we rolled them. And I was dabbing. It was great fun. No, it was good. It was good banter. Tom ripped on Grand Daniel a bit. And then they just never released our episode.
So I've heard with game shows,
Never.
you never get the money if they don't release the.
We got the
episode.
money.
Oh, you got the money.
Really?
Because
Yeah.
like with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and with all those other ones, like you don't get the money until they release the
What?
episode.
That's
Yeah.
fucked. No
That
way.
should be illegal.
That's a fact. So you could win $500,000, $1 million, and then you're like 6 months later, you're like, when are you going to air this?
That's so funny.
illegal.
You're at like the $500,000 question, and Eddie McGuire starts calling you a cunt, and you're like, they're never going to air this. There's no way.
Eddie McGuire comes out in blackface.
I swear to God, that's in the
fuck.
contract. You got the episode
No
has to air.
way.
Yeah.
I'm interested in looking this up now.
I don't know if I'm not.
That's
not
some sort of
convinced.
sports
Not
bet
convinced?
loophole. You know
Yeah.
those sports bet loopholes when someone wins a multi that's too big and they're like, oh, but you put it on a
Check-
leap year, so
Check the fine print.
check the
Oh.
fine print.
Speaking of those loopholes, one of my mates jumped to the group chat the other day where I've got like one for my NRL fantasy team
Yep.
about like sometimes the TAB screw up on like an obscure bet for a moment where there's like something which is supposed to be like 16-1, but it was like 1600-1. For
Oh,
like,
yeah,
for
yeah.
like just like a 30-minute window.
Okay.
And it's always like still, it was like some Roosters player had to score a try and then the Roosters had to win. And it's like, it wasn't that crazy because the Roosters ended up winning the game. But by the time we tried to jump on it, it was already, the window had been closed. But like, just one of those days.
But
yeah.
they'll never pay it out. They'll say, oh, sorry, we stuffed up. We meant to do 16-1.
I think if you spend the money and you got the ticket, that's supposed to be, that's a contract. That's
Check the fine print.
check the fine print. With the same
I
world
doubt.
as Who Wants to Be a Millionaire rules.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sports betting companies are scum.
Yeah, they call you up. It's like, is that Eddie McGuire on the phone?
You know, I can't believe that game show thing is, because that would mean like you get to the end of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you've won $64,000, and they're like, we'll see.
Yeah,
Let's wait and see.
I'm pretty sure this is what I've been operating under, this belief.
You've
for
got to
many,
go.
many years.
So you've got to go into a not just knowledgeable, but also like watchable. You have to be like, they're going to want to air me.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta. Yeah, it's not about just to get the questions right. You've also got to bring in a bit of drama.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
firstly, your backstory sucked.
What's that? You're having a heart attack right now. Oh my goodness. This is for you then, Mikey. I'm going to use my phone a friend just to call my nana's in the hospital. We used to watch this together when she was babysitting me.
I mean, you think if it was, you'd hope if you were going to win like the million that they'd be like, oh, that's such a hot episode, we have to play it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But imagine if like the guy that runs programming for Channel 9 or whatever, like you'd like fucked over his sister's, like your sister or something and fucked her over and he's like, nah, bin it.
That's
Been
why we don't think that. Well, we were trying to guess why they didn't air our episode, and we come up with a few reasons. Tom did some really good jokes about Grant Denyer being short, because Grant Denyer started holding up his logie, and Tom was like, "Oh, they made a life size of you, did they, Grant?"
That's good.
And I was
Great
yelling
stuff.
and dabbing on him. I did a lot of dabbing. I had a weird energy that episode, so that could have been the other reason.
Yeah.
There's so many variables it could have been.
Yeah.
Or it could have been this show sounds shit.
The show aired. No, the show aired.
Does
They
it still
did
exist?
seasons of it.
Oh, really?
I doubt it, but it was like one of those 5 p.m. Channel 10 shows.
Oh, wow.
What were the two sisters like? Were the two sisters hot?
Yeah, they were nice. Yeah, they were nice looking.
And you robbed them of their time on television.
No, they still got the same time. They just didn't get the money.
What? But they didn't get on TV, did they? Because it's the same.
Yeah, well, they didn't get on TV, no. So maybe it was them.
It was probably them. They were probably unwatchable. they were like, these girls didn't dab once. We can't put this on the air. So, wait, what did you have to do to win? What was the actual game?
Oh, fuck. Do you have internet? Let me look it up. I don't.
You got to guess.
You were
some
there.
sort of like topical thing is like name every city starting with J or some one of those. I don't know. You know, it's like one of those game shows.
Yeah.
Celebrity name game. I honestly can't remember. It was a couple of years ago.
You guys big into game shows? You like game shows?
I used to watch a fair bit of Deal or No Deal when I was at uni.
Yeah, I Deal No Deal. I'm a fan.
Is that too similar to your old job though?
When I was selling drugs.
These mushrooms cost this much. Deal or no deal?
It was always. I had women with gold cases.
Yeah.
In the living room.
Gold case.
Let's check.
Of
Case number
shiitakes.
13.
I'm gonna have to call the banker. Hamo, it's 3:00 in the morning. The bank is closed.
No, I like the chase. That's my favorite.
You like the
game
chase?
show. The chase is so dope because they've made them characters. They're just the nerdiest, smartest people ever. It's like, oh, it's Miss Trunchbull. Watch out.
Who's your
She's
favorite?
the madam, or whatever her name is. Do you ever watch
the
it?
Tiger Mum? Is that what you're talking
vaguely
about?
aware.
I watched the English one. The English
the
one's
governess?
the
Is
best. The
that her name?
governess,
Governess,
bro.
yeah,
Like
she's-
dominatrix
yeah.
sort of vibes. Like Miss Trunchbull, but like bad. Like, yeah, Dom.
I like when she cracks. You know, she tries to be all tough, and every now and then she shows a little bit of heart.
Yeah.
Do you remember The Weakest Link back in the day?
Of course.
Sick.
That chick was so awful to everybody, and it was great. I was a big fan.
They did a really funny episode in the UK of The Weakest Link when it was all like rappers. Have you ever seen that on YouTube?
No.
really?
They had like Exhibit on, and they
No
had what's the name of that? They had B Real from Cypress
Hill?
and they had
Nate
Jermaine,
Dogg.
Nate Dogg.
Nate Dogg,
Jermaine Dupri.
rest in
Oh,
peace.
so you looked that up? What the fuck?
Sorry, I really should have looked up the guest thing. Oh, you were like, we were on some TV show. It had a name like this, but we weren't actually on it. Like, what the fuck am I meant to Google? Frenchy?
Celebrity name game. It doesn't matter anymore.
No.
So
We'll
go
go-
on about the
let's take
weakest
back-
link with rappers.
So they had the host. She's looking all serious, and then she'd look at Nate Dogg, and she'd be like, and she'd go, Nate Dogg,
Nate Dogg.
why are your hands in your pockets? And then without even skipping a beat, he just goes, so I don't steal nothing. And then there's just Exhibit like losing it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is good content. I should have that every week.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Any game show with all rappers is already the best, most watchable shit. Any show.
yeah.
That's pretty sick. All Rapper Survivor. I could get into that.
Yeah. Watching-
They would hate the scene.
Watching all those guys, they had like Rev Run, everyone like voting to oust each other. And then like
that's fun.
Jermaine Dupri got voted out. He's like, they're hating on me, Anne.
They hated on me. They hate us.
This episode has 8.3 stars on IMDb.
It was-
that's high, that's like The Godfather.
Yeah.
That's how high that is.
That's,
I've watched that episode so many times. It's so good. Debrat.
how did they get them all on?
I don't know. It was for charity.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well, that's what we want. Is we want all rapper episodes of any show, really.
Yeah. What else would you like to see all rappers on, do you reckon?
It's got to. Well, Survivor, you said was
Survivor
it's
would be
going to
great.
be perfect.
Yeah.
What are some other shows we watch? I guess Love on the Spectrum. But how many qualify?
Yeah.
6ix9ine probably.
Yeah, 360. Celebrity name game is pairs of celebrity contestants must identify the names of the famous personalities with the help of the clues given to them in order to win the cash prize. You happy I did that?
Yes, thank you. It's a real show. I just wanted you to know it was a real show.
No, it is a real show, but
it's
it's pairs of celebrities. I think
it was. I was on a different one.
I think
swear.
Grandenia was fucking like negging you.
It was a whole thing. It was a whole. It feels like a fever dream now because it didn't air. I'm like, was I really on that?
Yeah.
Like they're gaslighting me.
well,
They're like Grandenia was in robot voice the whole time. I'm sorry, we couldn't play.
have you found that you're like, I think especially as being comedians, you're always close to getting some sort of minor role on something and it just never comes through.
I auditioned. I famously was contacted by John Ibrahim, right? Contacted me and asked me if he could write a character for me on season 2 of Last King of the Cross as a funny bouncer, right? So then I got asked to audition for it, and I didn't get the role.
After he wrote it for you. Did you show him the DMs?
Sorry, they're looking for an Andrew Hamilton type. Do you happen to know any?
I think, yeah. So that's brutal, right?
That is brutal.
Yeah.
I had one, just the Bondi Hipsters said we need an extra type role. You get 1 or 2 lines in our new show. I wrote back, I'd say an hour later, yeah, I'm keen. Not heard nothing.
Oh, that's rough.
How did I lose it in an hour?
Well, I mean, was there someone that ended up playing that character, or did they just write it out of the script?
No, I'm pretty sure Jackson O'Doherty played it, who's like a prankster.
Yeah.
I think he does porn now too.
Yeah.
Does he?
So it's definitely different body types. So I'm not sure if
Yeah, he's got a rig on him.
yeah, he does. So.
Did you audition for that porn as well? And
No.
I don't know if this is true, but I heard, I guess it's not a secret. I got told that for the TV show Fisk, that the character of Ray was written for Ray Badron, and that was why it was called Ray. And then he auditioned and then didn't get the role, and they gave it to Marty Sheargold.
Oh, fucking hell. That's just
But
Last
imagine-
King of the Cross on you. That was not plugged in. So the battery is gone on the camera.
We off camera?
We're off camera, but you're still on mic.
See,
Just our sexy voices.
just-
Thanks a lot, Dan Muggleton.
This is just guerrilla podcasting, you know.
Yeah, mate.
We're not perfect. We're human beings. We roll with it. We improvise. But yeah, imagine the double insult of like, we wrote a character for you. We even named the character after you. Like that's how much of a
Brutal.
sure thing it seems like. And
Brutal.
then you go in there and you're like, well, this is just, I just need to piss this in, right? It's just like it's already.
What was the bouncer that got cast instead of you?
So it ended up changing the role, which went from funny bouncer to funny bikie. But still, I was like, I've got tats. I'm big enough. Like I could play it.
You're white.
I haven't. The show hasn't come out yet, so I haven't seen who they ended up casting yet.
Oh.
But when they do, even if this guy is much better for the option, I'm gonna like in my head for my own protection. I'll be like, this guy sucks.
Like, this is not. Yeah.
Like fuck this guy.
You just can't support this one person.
Nah.
Boo him when he comes on the screen.
Yep.
Boo.
So that's your range. You can play a bouncer, but not a bikie. That's as far as
Apparently.
like we can't really believe you as a criminal. Is what they're saying, and you're like, well, I've got some proof.
I think you'd be a better bikie than bouncer, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
In real life or in a film?
Both.
Yeah.
I mean,
What makes you say that?
I know plenty of bikies and they're lovely people, and I could have gone down that path at some point in my life. I prefer to be a sole trader. You know?
That's Hamo's version of like I could have played footy if I hadn't done my leg. It's like, I could have been HK.
I could have been I could have been Hell's Angels. I could have been a senior ranking officer by now. But you know, I went a different path. I like to just be independent. I like the flexibility.
Flexibility of not being in a bike gang.
Yeah. Well,
Oh man, the hours are insane. You're always on call.
It's the main thing for me is the commitment to the obligation to commit violence. You know, if it was just like, hey, can you just be the friendly friendly neighborhood drug dealer? I would have been like, hey, just continue business as usual, BAU. But but no, they're like, hey, can you go kneecap some cunt? I'd be like,
Well, I can, but I'd rather not.
what's he done first? I need you to pitch it to me.
Okay. He hasn't paid us our money back.
Okay, all right. How much money?
It's $37.50.
Not enough.
Okay.
How much would you? There's another guy. He hasn't paid us back. It's $107.
No, it's got to be thousands and thousands before I'm going to start committing violence. And even then, I'd rather if like Paul did it.
Well, okay. What about this guy? He's been talking shit about Frenchy, and he's one of the brothers, and you got to back him up.
Oh, you got to back up the brother.
You got to back up the brothers.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, if he throws a punch back at you, then I'm
Back
in.
at me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You take first swing. He throws one back, then I'm in.
Have you done any training, like any jiu-jitsu and stuff?
I don't think normally you need. That's not required.
the bikies.
I don't think.
I'm in the Hell's Angels. What rank? Second, Dan.
When I've seen the job ads on Seek, that hasn't been listed as being a requirement.
the Hell's Angels on sick. I'm looking on Indeed. Can't find them anywhere.
So,
Have you done any? Because I was wondering about this. Because I don't know if we want to talk about this on the pod, but you got a boxing bout next year potentially.
yeah, it's
with Jake Paul.
no.
Since Mike pulled out, you got it.
There was some whispers.
You got it.
There's some whispers that there may be a box. I can't say too much about it yet, but there was some whispers of like a podcaster boxing event sometime in the future next year.
It does really sound now that
That
Fred said that
sounds
you're
fun.
about to box Jake Paul.
Yeah.
He's a YouTuber, not a podcaster.
So you got to keep
there we
it.
go. I'm not fighting Jake Paul. I'm not famous enough yet, but I am fighting Spanian. No, that would be nice. He's much bigger than me.
Don't do that one.
It's too
Don't
big.
do that one.
There's the clip putting that up for sure. Open challenge to Spaniard.
Oh no, you're in trouble, bro.
You've eaten his kebabs. You weren't impressed. They're going to knock him out.
Can we move those words somehow over to Frenchy's mouth?
No.
Can we? Are you able? Do you have the technical abilities to do that?
Yeah, but only if it comes out in robot voice. That's the only way I can do it.
I will fight Spaniard.
You've said it twice, bro.
No, there is a guy I went to uni with that has a podcast, Jarchi. You know Jarchi.
Oh yeah,
He-
you went to uni with him.
Yeah. He did like one of these podcast boxing matches end of April, and he got knocked the fuck out.
I
Did he get
saw
knocked
that
out?
on his t-shirt.
Yeah.
I just saw a t-shirt, and I'm like, why is Jarchi knocked out on that?
Yeah, he got knocked out hard.
Wait, was he wearing the t-shirt or someone else?
Nah, it's like a prank
It's
day.
a
or
photo
whatever.
of him getting knocked out, and now his mates like are all getting t-shirts with.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Was he wearing headgear?
No,
Oh, okay.
but like really, from I've had one amateur fight. I don't think that the headgear really does that much.
You don't think so?
No.
I think it does. I think it does.
I don't think it does.
I think it does.
No.
Nothing.
No, I don't think it does because
Would either of you like to make an argument, or do you want to just state your opinion?
like the protection
Nah, I
around the
reckon.
chin, it's not that great anyway. Like if you can knock someone the fuck out with a headgear on, and also it makes your head a much bigger target. So the amount you can duck and weave and dodge a punch is significantly easier without the bloody headgear on.
So you're thinking they should have Glad wrap on their head to shrink it, so you can slip the
Oh.
punches easier.
That's good.
Um,
Or like
What?
one of those old medieval steel helmets, so it's thin but it's heavy.
Yeah, that
I
makes
just-
sense to me.
Man.
Or how good would fucking that game where they ride the horses and they stab them off them? That's
Jousting.
what I want to do. Do a podcast joust.
Podcast jousting.
I'd be in on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be sick.
On bikes, on your little, on your bikey bikes, on your Harleys.
I mean, I'm just concerned that we'd have to start getting involved in like the medieval like LARPing community was full of nerds. Yeah,
Much better community to fight than
Spaniard.
Yeah, fair.
trust
It's
me.
like, I was like, I don't want to upset the LARPing community, but I'll fuck Spaniard up.
Yeah, you've chosen some weird enemies. Chosen some weird enemies.
I
I went and had his kebab recently, so he knows. He DM'd me and he said, "Fucking sick cunt." So
And you said it was good.
I didn't post what I thought about the food.
Was it good?
I went there and I had the kebab, and
What is this telling you, Frenchy? Read between the lines.
I can read between the lines. He loved it.
He fucking loved it so
was
much.
It was food, all right.
Working on a brand deal. That's what's going on.
Man, you were not. I don't. You had a red hot chance there to win Spaniard over again by just saying a nice thing about
I
his
can
kebab.
confirm that it had meat and a bread roll and sauce.
Why? Why do you have to be honest about it?
I'm not.
100%.
I'm not criticizing it. I'm just
Are
saying.
you
I had
starting
food.
like a food critiquing thing?
No, I'm absolutely
and
not.
you're like
I
worried
don't-
if you give a bad
As
review.
someone who
people-
has previously owned a pizza shop that also was a money laundering operation, it was-
allegedly.
allegedly. I know how hard it is to small business, so I would never go out there and publicly rag on anyone else's restaurant. It's tough to run any hospo business. So all I was saying is I found it to be fantastic service.
Yeah.
there,
There you
and
go.
I'm glad I went.
I know it's hard out there, so I would never rag on a business, but nor will I give it any support whatsoever.
He does make a good point.
I saved the support. Okay. I'm not going to rag on something, but I'm also not
You're
going
just-
to. I'm not.
You're trying
I
to
have-
sell tickets to the fight. I see
Hamilton-
what you're doing, bro.
One thing I have is credibility in the food eating community.
That's
and
true.
I won't go out there and publicly endorse something unless I fully 100% believe in it.
I would fucking love to be one of those food bloggers.
Yeah.
The amount of power they must feel walking into a restaurant.
Yes.
No one I'm big on Yelp.
So I used to reach out to these guys to invite them to my restaurant for a free meal in return for hoping that they would post about it, right?
Yeah.
And there was one blogger, Instagrammer called Sydney Food Slut.
Oh, I've heard about Sydney Food Slut.
And I
I've heard
messaged
of-
her
I've
and
heard
I
of a
asked if she
similar
wanted to
girl.
come, and she said, "Oh, it's like $400 for a post." And I'm like, "No, I don't. I just wanted to come for, and I'll give you food." But she wanted to be paid for it, and I'm like, "That's not a slut. That's a whore. That's a prostitute."
Did you say that? Did you make that point to her?
No, I said it to everyone else.
Right now.
But
And then you started to get a few more followers on Instagram. You're like, I'm kind of
she
see
should
why
have
they
to-
want money for a post.
she should have to change her name to Sydney Food Prostitute. I think if she's going to make people pay for it.
Sydney Food Sex Worker. Yeah.
Did you ever put like intimidatory
Yep, that's a word.
tactics? Like
I
if
saw
you
you
saw
doubting yourself.
someone who was yelping you, would you stand over and be like, write a review? Is it good? Post it.
Post right now. Let me
No.
say it.
You didn't do
I don't
that?
think that's going to.
Oh, you get
I
more
don't think that's-
flies of honey.
I
so
never
you
thought
do-
that was going to create a more positive post.
I'll suck your dick for 5 stars. Did you say that?
I believed in making sure the food was good and the service was exceptional. I had a rule about pep coverage because pepperoni pizzas, right?
Yep.
He doesn't have time for the whole word.
Nothing upset me more as a pizza eater than when you order a pepperoni and it's stingy on the pep.
Yeah.
So I had a rule. We had to have at least 23 slices of pepperoni on every pizza.
That's so great.
Yeah.
So
Not good enough for the Sydney food slut, though.
No. No, but we did have plenty of influencers and bloggers come in. One whose name is her website is called Not Quite Nigella. Not quite Nigella.
Not quite Nigella.
Yeah,
Like
she's
Nigella Lawson.
Exactly. And not only did she was very influential. She came in and gave a great review, but she also insisted on paying for the food herself, which was just like, wow, that's a woman with principles.
that's
Yeah.
great.
In a world where so many of these influencers will rock up to restaurants and have these expectations.
Yeah. Sydney food virgin. No? I think the headgear makes a significant amount of difference to a boxing fight, I would imagine.
Well, you're an idiot because I've boxed. I've been a hobby boxer for about 6 years, and I've worn the headgear. And I'm telling you, I don't think it does as much as you think.
So you're saying if you had to fight someone, you would rather them wear the headgear and you not than the other way around?
Yes, that's correct.
That's correct.
But I would also prefer us both not wear headgear rather than both wear headgear.
No, but you're saying it's easy to knock them out with the headgear, so you'd want them in headgear, wouldn't you?
It's for 2 reasons. I don't think it's easier to knock them out with the headgear. I think it's easier to punch them in the front of the head or the side of the head, maybe not chin them, but it's also easier for me to avoid their punches.
Yep.
Without the headgear on. I'm a bit more agile in the neck.
Frenchie, what do you think?
Yeah, no, it sounds good. Sounds good.
Anyway, this boxing match, if it happens next year, I don't think there's headgear involved. So then we'll see whether
Shit.
hopefully I don't get sparked in the first round. I had a hobby boxing. It was a corporate fighter program. You know, when you do
My mate did one of those.
you train for 12 weeks and it's money is raised for charity and you got to make your mates buy tickets and it's $200 and have a night out at the Hilton.
Yeah,
or
it
something
looks
like that.
fun.
They are fun. It's a lot of hard work, and I went and saw a secondary trainer outside of the regular program.
Oh,
Yeah.
extra. You did extras.
Yeah,
Because you really want to get that
I had a
dubs.
guy from my old rugby team who called me up and he's like, "Mate, if you want to win this fight, you got to talk to Dexter the Dingo."
Vision Quest. Here we go. Here we go.
So I'm like, who the fuck is Dexter the Dingo? So he's like, all right, so Dexter the Dingo holds the Guinness World, he's Australian, he holds the Guinness World Record as the oldest professional boxer in the world. He started boxing at 50 and he went on, and I think he was too old to have professional fights in Australia, so he went over to the States and started tallying up people, and I think he won 10, 12 fights before he hung up his boots.
And what was he called? The dingo?
Just 'cause it
And after he hung up his boots, what did he do with his gloves?
Got him.
Here we go.
Got him.
There we go. Snook it again. So, so anyway, I contacted Dexter the Dingo. And there was one point where he was almost lined up to fight Sylvester Stallone because Stallone had never had a real fight, obviously, just in the Rocky movies. And so he was looking for someone who had some professional fights under their belt, but was also old, like
Yeah.
like Stallone. But apparently there was some issues around Stallone being full of steroids and
Yeah, but what's a
also-
dingo full of? Babies, I guess.
Dexter the Dingo Dunworth went 9-1
Yeah.
in 10 fights, 9 knockouts.
Fucking hell, let's
That's pretty
go,
impressive.
Dex.
Residence Woollahra, New South Wales. Didn't pick that.
Yeah.
No. He's a fascinating guy. I met him. He's loaded as well, and he's got like something crazy, like 6 or 7 kids. But I met him, and it was just like such a larger-than-life character, Dexter the Dingo. Absolute legend. Shout out to Dex. And he said to me, look, if you want to win this fight, you got to chat to the guy who trained me. Ishvan. I thought Dexter was going to help me, but then Dexter was like, send me on to the next guy. And so
And Ishvan's like, you got to meet the guy who trained me, but he's dead.
So Ishvan is this Hungarian like boxing champion who I met, and he was just like, I can't train you how to like be a boxer in 12 weeks. That's ridiculous. But I can train you how to win this fight.
Yeah, well, that's...
And so he was just like, he's like, they're training you how to do hooks and uppercuts and jabs. None of that you need. Just the jab. Look at with my reach. He was like, just punch straight. And so I think when I actually had the fight, I did one punch that wasn't a jab and it was an uppercut, and I punched myself with it. So I was like, I better stick with the jabs, eh?
So you just jabbed the whole fight.
Jabbed for the whole fight.
And you win?
And I bloodied up his nose, and I won 3. I think I won all 3 rounds. And
Oh, you won on points.
well, I didn't knock the guy out. He had headgear on.
If you can call that
It's
winning.
like an over-the-pants hand job. Yeah, got laid, boys.
You know how hard it is in an amateur fight, 3 rounds, and you're already gassed. These guys
Are they wearing headgear?
headgear.
That's why you knock him out, mate.
Yeah.
See? So
Man, Dexter the Dingo went 9 knockouts for 9, and he's
But he was
112
fighting
years old.
No headgear in professional fights.
Oh, you think you would have jabbed this guy's head off if he didn't have no headgear?
Were you
would've
on the
knocked you out.
mushrooms at this point?
Oh, not on the night.
Oh, I got to get trained by Dexter, but he didn't want me to get trained, so I'm going to the Hungarian, and he said only jab, Andrew.
What, you think this was a kind of fever dream
I
on
don't know,
mushrooms?
man. I don't know.
I love that vision quest for
I
sure.
mean,
There was a space coyote, I remember, talking to me from the moon, and
no.
he said, "Find your soulmate." Yeah,
bit of a just such a journey for a social fight.
Well, I took it seriously. I got in great nick. I had an absolute rig, and I punched this guy in the face for 3 rounds. I think it was 2-minute rounds. But at the end of the first round, my cornerman was like, "You're smashing him. Just keep doing that." I'm like, "I can't. I'm completely gassed out."
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize how hard it is.
People
what-
gas.
So what'd you do for the third round if you couldn't do the only thing you were doing?
Well, I still punched him, but it was like this really slow
nothing-
motion.
nothing
you
in
know,
it.
just like yes,
Yeah.
every now. So, anyway, got the win. I'm 100%
1-0.
undefeated.
Bring on Spanion.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, when you're posting all your videos of all these insane gigs that you do, like, is that just the crowd you attract, or is this just regional crowds? Because I'm about to do regional gigs, and I'm wondering whether it's you or the towns.
Where are you doing? It is a lot to do with the towns. Like it's half me. I do bring it out in them.
Yeah.
But also it's regional. They
Yeah.
get excited.
I'm doing like Albury, Toowoomba, Mandurah, Bunbury, Darwin.
Mandurah.
Yeah, Mandurah.
Depends, and also depends what you're doing. If you're doing like a pub, people like just feel more excited in their local pub.
Yeah.
And they just hit it hard,
That's what
bro.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, you'll get some crazy shit. You're doing all the key places there.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Albury's like pretty civilized for a country town, but yeah, Mandurah and
I
Darwin.
think
it's
Albury's
just-
place called the Thirsty Devil, I think.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So Anyway,
I love regional Australia. They don't give a fuck there, man. That's why you forget like what the rest of Australia actually thinks is funny, and do you know what I mean? Because we're in Sydney too much.
Yeah.
I did a.
And you hear them like talk amongst each other, amongst their mates. Like, "Con, you're gonna get cancelled. Careful what you say." It's like, "Well, this is how we talk out here."
I had such a contrast between I did a gig on Friday night at a brewery in Campbelltown, Western Sydney.
Fun, yeah.
And then I backed it up by doing a corporate gig in Bondi for a bunch of CEOs on Saturday and absolutely ate ass. And I was just like, wow, it really that was both ends of the spectrum in one little weekend.
Yeah, that's perfect. We did gigs together last week actually. Our mate Kieran Lyons is in town, so he wanted to do a few in a row to get our sea legs because we're going to America in a week or two.
Where does he live now?
He kind of lives everywhere. Yeah. He was in Bali for a bit for tax purposes, allegedly.
Bali? Is that what the local Canary Islands?
I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know. He explained stuff to me. I don't know. I'm not in the IRS, so I don't know. But we did this gig on Wednesday. We did our magic.
Yep.
Did you do that one? Yeah, you did that one. It was kind of small. It was like 15 people.
All the lights were on.
All the lights were on. And I go to him.
They couldn't turn the lights off at the back of the bar, so it was just real bright.
Yeah, something about the fuse blew, so they couldn't turn off. And they're random ass lights. They're not normal lights.
Did it affect the vibe?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Terrible ambience for doing comedy. 15 people. And I go to him. I go, at least we're doing the worst gig now. And then we got Thursday, we got 2 on Friday, and we'll just keep crushing after a 15 and awkward lighting. Thursdays was Neil's.
I didn't do that one, but yeah.
Same problem with the lights because it's the same room.
Hadn't fixed the lights.
And it was even worse.
Yeah.
Friday, doing Kinsella's.
Yeah.
Much worse.
Miserable.
Why?
So
Miserable.
bad.
What?
It was fucking awful.
There was 8 people who just didn't want to be there.
8 people in both shows, at 7 o'clock at night. We could have done one show to 16 people, but we did 2 shows to 8 people. And the people at 7 were too sober and the people at 9 were too drunk.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Goldilocks
used
zone.
up all my patience on the 7 p.m. show because I was all psyched up. I'm like, I'm going to do a good set. I'm going to do my 10 minutes and just try to get blood from this stone. And I did fine. And then the 9 p.m. show, they were kind of loose. I thought, this will be fun. And they just kept interrupting my fucking jokes. And I cut it 3 minutes and I said, yeah, that's me done. See ya.
There was a dude in the front row who just had pupils like saucers, and he just could not help himself getting involved in everything. You missed because you didn't stick around to the end of the show,
No,
did you?
I had to leave.
At the very, very end, there was a guy in the front who had come from, I think he said he came from Mount Druitt, but he might have been talking shit. And he was wearing like a bum bag strapped across his chest. And at the very end of it, he's like, the whole time he's like putting his hand up to ask questions and shit. At the end, he goes, "Oi, can I tell a joke?" And Rory Lowe goes, "All right, you can come up and you can tell one joke." He goes, he comes up and he's like kind of staring. He gets to the moment. He goes, "What did the spastic say to his dog? Down syndrome."
Kind of good.
Pretty good.
It's kind of good. Lead with that. What the other shit he was doing all night.
Yeah.
That's kind of good.
No, because I wanted to say this actually when I opened for Frenchy in his hometown of Wollongong on a couple of years ago. And I remember the first show, I did okay. I didn't do great. And I came off afterwards and Frenchy's like, "Bro, don't feel like you have to do like your ranker shit for my crowd. Like they're not like that." I was like, "Oh no, I just picked my best set."
No, I remember. I didn't mean to rank it. I felt like it was all just women belong in the kitchen jokes.
Yeah, which is weird because I was like, "You've seen me perform before."
I was like, mix up the racism.
That is his
I was
best
like,
stuff.
I was like, you're only doing sexism. They want some other stuff too. They want some other stuff too. No, but I thought he was turning it on, being like, "Oh, they're going to be bad. I'm going to give him." But then it was, obviously his best stuff.
What venue was that in Wollongong?
A uni bar.
Yeah.
It's not a fun venue for comedy. I tell myself every year, I'm not doing it. It's just the stage is too high, the room's too big.
I'm
it's
doing
just
the
a bit.
Builders Club there.
Oh yeah, that's dope.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, I haven't done that in like years, but the last time was like a downstairs dungeon room. It was good, but I haven't done it in a minute, so who knows?
Yeah, there you go. You looking forward to Wollongong? You think Wollongong will be good crowds, Frenchy, you reckon?
Yeah, because they're close enough to Sydney that they get all sorts of jokes, but they're also far enough back that you can say some slurs if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but don't like
Which ones?
Well, whatever ones you do, don't drop a hard. consonant or whatever. But like in a friendly way.
Do it in a friendly
Choose
way.
your own slur, whatever I meant by that.
You would be pretty used to more than most comics having like drunks yelling out shit, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it still gets old. But yeah, I'm definitely like, I love it when there's like a rowdy one at like a comedy club and everyone's like, oh, have you seen these 3 guys? I'm like, oh, only 3? Oh, what a treat.
I saw there was one clip you had on socials of like, I forget, I don't know what the venue was, but there was like one drunk dude at the front of the show who was like just yelling out shit from the start of the show with a weird name like Socks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you had the tolerance and patience of a saint until I think his chick threw something at you.
Well, as you guys know, there are funny drunks and funny hecklers.
Yeah.
And he was kind of perfect because he would yell out something fucking stupid, easy to rip on him because he's yelled out something dumb already.
Yep.
Everyone kind of hates him. He yells it out loud enough for everyone to hear. I don't even need to repeat it. And then he would just shut up for a bit and I'll do my bit.
Yeah.
And he would kind of yell in the gaps too. So it was kind of great.
That's so funny. You're like, you know how hecklers like, I was just helping. It's like he actually was. He was helping a lot.
Kind of. But some of them are just like do it in the setup and you're like, shut the you've ruined everything here. But Socks was kind of great for a while, and then he just went a little too far. And I had the security. I always say get security. I have to brief him. I do like briefings before my shows. I get all these guards around. I'm like, if this goes down this way, you got to be here. If it goes down this way, I'll give you a look and all this sort of stuff. So they were ready for him, and I was like, no, you got to go, Socks. And farmers don't like being kicked out of places.
No, he put up a fight.
Farm strength,
he put up
bro.
a fight. Yeah, that was a good wrestle. But that's interesting. You already have to have the pre-brief with the security about like this is a few options on which ways it could go, and this is the signals I'll give you.
So just quickly, do you call it farm strength in regional New South Wales, or is there a different word for it?
It's farm strength. Well, yeah, it could be a different sort of strength. Depends. But yeah, well, it's always the nights I don't do the briefing is that there's something goes out of control and the guards don't know what to do. Because one time I was like, it's actually happened a few times. There was one, I posted a chick on her, this middle-aged just woman, like bleached. I think I called her, what I call a Centrelink Barbie or something. I don't remember exactly what I used on her. She got up on stage, tried to grab the mic, started twerking for a bit, and then left. And I'm like, security, why don't you
do
stop
something.
it from going on? He goes, oh, I thought it was part of the show. It's always the Indian ones who don't do nothing.
I thought he was Scottish.
Nah, that was supposed to be Indian. Okay, that was supposed to be Indian. Yeah. He might have spent time in Glasgow. He was born and raised in Delhi. I think he did a few years over abroad.
Indian, all
he
right.
did a few years over abroad.
When I'm in Sydney, all my accents just go more appropriate. I go to do Indian, become Scottish. I go to do Chinese, it becomes Spanish.
Yeah, you gotta do the fun ones.
I had to do a really shit when I was doing the audiobook for my book today. I was reading through it, and there's a bit where there's a French guy speaking, and I had to do a French accent, and I was like, thank God it was just a French guy, because like, imagine if I had a Chinese character or Japanese guy.
Yeah, I do them. Do you not do them?
I mean, I did the French one, but I don't know what I would have done if it had been another one.
I wrote a whole bit about it. It was in maybe last year's show or the show before about why are we not allowed to do the Chinese accent anymore. And my whole theory is because they're a superpower now. Like I get why you couldn't back in the day. They were a minority, but they kind of own more houses than Australians do in Australia. Yeah, they're a superpower. Why are we allowed to do Brazil's accent? They're like a third world country.
Yeah, okay. So you think if the French rose up and took over and started buying property in Coogee...
But we're allowed to do the French accent. No one will blink twice.
But if they became a superpower, we wouldn't be allowed
Apparently
to do it
we're not
anymore.
allowed to.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm saying like, I think it's not as long as you do, well, what I say is like, it's all about your intent and your tone. If you're bullying them on public transport, like you see in some videos, no. But if you're just telling a story and that's what they sounded like.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you're allowed to even use the term third world country anymore, because that got changed in my book.
Yeah, you got to call them shitholes.
You got to call them.
What do you say?
Like Trump
You got to
does.
say emerging countries.
Emerging?
Yeah.
It's clear they're not. They've had their chance to emerge.
Mate, I don't know if you've heard what's coming up right now. PNG is coming. We're buying a little beach house over there.
So how many is there? So what are the first worlds called then?
I guess still a first world country.
Well, you can't call us first worlds and then say
And
emerging.
then you're like, what are the other rankings?
Emerged.
No. I think it's like the participation award, right?
should-
For another country.
It should be like football, like the Premier League, Division 1, Division 2.
Yeah.
And then you work on your way up, and that gives them something to aspire to because you want to get promoted into Div 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so what you're saying is still too vague?
I'm saying you get 20 countries in Premier League.
Yep.
That's your first Worlds.
Yep.
Wherever you think you deserve to be there or not, first division, you get 20 countries. And then it's based on sort of certain factors.
What, GDP?
You can use that if you want, if you know what it means.
That'd be really funny if in like, if just like, like participation trophies, like every single football league just had an equally flattering name where it's like the Premier League, the Ultra League, the Awesome League.
The good fun league.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the emerging league.
Yep.
The A-League.
The A-League.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep.
So will Brazilians get... Well, not Brazilians. They're almost first world. They've got a few things going on.
They got... What's that? There's that...
the BRIC.
BRIC.
BRIC economies. It's Brazil, Russia, India, and China.
So that's Div 2, is it?
I guess so.
Yeah,
they're the
Div 1.
up-and-comers.
Div
They're the
1.
Championship.
Championship, that's the one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about the championship. You're right.
Yeah. Should we do an ad?
Let's do it.
Let's do an
yeah.
ad. So, Frenchy, the way the ads work on this podcast, so we're sponsored by Pilot, Men's Health, erectile dysfunction medication. And the way that it works is we write an ad for one another to read sight unseen on the podcast. So we've written one for you today. You comfortable reading it out?
I love erections. So
Great.
That's actually the tone of the ad.
Tom,
perfect.
Tom, I don't. Well, I'll see how funny it is before I say it. We'll say we wrote it.
no, I love it. I love it. Do you want any accents?
Sorry, it's written from the perspective of a Chinese person. And scene.
Hey there, floggers. Stand-up comedian and former high school PE teacher Frenchy here. You know, when your career involves wearing footy shorts and spending time around children, it doesn't take long to learn that an erection can be a fireable offence. My school only seemed to remember one thing from the 2012 house dodgeball final I refereed, even though those kids weren't even that hot. I just love dodgeball. Finding myself on my third and final warning, I decided enough was enough, and much like Luke Skywalker in the swamps of Dagobah, I embarked on weeks of training to maintain complete and utter control of my flesh-coloured lightsaber. My training worked. In fact, it worked too well. Sure, I wasn't getting a boner during sex ed anymore, and there was only ever one hard javelin at the 6th event. But all of a sudden, I couldn't even get it up during free periods or over summer holidays. That's when I found Pilot. Pilot's little blue pill helped me maintain erections on my terms, not just during the school term. Thanks, Pilot. Go to pilot.com.au, use the code FLOGGERS20 for $20 off your first order. Pilot, hard made easy.
I think it's the first time we've creeped towards pedophilia.
Creeped in an ad read. Yeah,
that had nothing to do with pedophilia.
No,
I made it very
just...
clear in the ad. It was just the Operation Health and Safety being a teacher.
All right. Yep. That's it's a good thing that the Pilot don't actually check what ads we put out.
Oh yeah, I love that about a podcast. You just assume, like, you know, people listen to it, but also you kind of very rarely get called out on anything, so you kind of just keep pushing the limits, and that's apparently what you're doing now.
I mean, it took years before they started pulling up Joe Rogan on like his historical use of N-words over like, and it was like he'd been saying it for like 10 years.
Yeah, that caught up to him quick, and he's like, fuck, okay, I had a good run.
That was so funny, though, wasn't it? Where it was just like all of a sudden one day popped out like a supercut of Joe Rogan saying the N-word, and you're like, fuck, what's this guy? He's in so much trouble, and the next day you're like, oh, I guess not.
But it's also like, if you say it a couple of times every year over 10 years of podcasting, suddenly that's a very long supercut. You know, but if you break it down, it's like when someone's like, "Oh, I've slept with 300 people," but it's like if you're 40 years old and you break it down by how many times how many people you've slept with it.
Yeah.
It's like one a month. That's not that many.
If you sleep with 300 people, you're gonna say the N-word a few times. You know what I mean?
Exactly. If like I've had 17 erections around students, sounds bad if I've taught for a week,
right?
But if you taught for 17 years, it's one
tenure,
a year. He knows
right?
what's you got tenure. And who's to say Rogan didn't have the pass?
Yeah.
That's true. Did we ask?
I'm pretty sure he did because that's why a few people come out and were like, oh no, he's got the pass, he's G.
Yeah, the things he's done for the black community.
He had it. He's not going to say it anymore, but don't worry.
Yeah.
It's been revoked?
No, not revoked. More just it was like one-time use passes. He had a bunch of them.
Oh yeah, it's like a get out of jail free card at Monopoly.
Yeah, I think or something like
I need
that.
to pick up some of those. Where do you get them from? Hammer.
Hammer.
They don't
COVID,
work.
I believe.
They don't work.
They don't work.
I tried it. That was like one of my first dumb stand-up bits when I first started comedy. Those jail free cards don't work.
Yeah, that's the real reason you had to kill that old podcast episode of his. Was because the robot voice had some very questionable opinions about black people.
Supercar time. Yeah,
that could be any robot.
There'll be a supercut of some point of me doing my accents, but
Yeah.
I'm over in society. I think society's going back towards it's kind of funny as opposed to you're going to lose your job, but we'll see.
I think so. I think I'm getting the kind of little feeling that people are allowing you to just get a bit sillier again.
I think you are correct.
What accent was that?
Who knows? Who knows?
I think
Keeps me on the keeps me working, baby.
I think that political correctness is taking maybe just a half step back to be like,
It
all
is.
right, well, we're still going to have some fun in this crazy.
It is because all the comedies went to shit and everyone's like, nah, we kind of need some good stuff again. We need some super bads, some American pies.
Yeah, one N-word a year. No more. Everyone gets one.
Saving it up.
I'm going to use it on my special.
I'm so dope for the title.
Well, I remember when I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, when I met up with Shad and Muggleton for a bagel in Perth, and Shad was crossing the road, and I stood there and said the famous line from The Hangover, where I said, "Paging Dr. Faggot," and...
So you say that, but you won't do the Chinese accent.
Yeah. He's told this story on the podcast before, and he used the F word then as well.
Did we have to blur it out that time?
Well, we certainly didn't.
Well, I don't think
He's about to do country shows. Keep it in. Keep it in.
I'm quoting a bit line from a movie, a very funny line.
Can't even quote a movie anymore.
Yeah.
So funny.
Maybe that's coming back.
Yeah, I reckon.
Do you want me to clip that up so you can use it for your advertising for your country shows?
Yeah, they'll love it. They'll love
They'll be
that.
like, Andrew, you've sold out Albury. I was on 2 yesterday.
Oh, that's so funny.
So you've got a solo podcast now.
Yeah, it's called The Frenchy Show.
And what is it? You just mainly talk to prostitutes or something?
It is Australia's oldest profession, I believe.
Every time I see a clip, that seems to be the theme of the show.
Well, I think that says more about your algorithm, bro. The internet gives you what you enjoy.
I was searching porn stars the other day, and your podcast came up. What's that about?
Oh, yeah, well, it's a bit of both. It is. I've actually done four episodes around now. One was strippers.
Yep.
One was my old Uber driver. He's called the Flexibility Whisperer. He's a 65-year-old man who says he's got the secret to being flexible.
Oh, really? Is it stretching?
But it's a special type of stretching that no one else knows about.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, what's your name? The Flexibility what?
Whisperer.
Whisperer. Did he whisper on the podcast as well?
I whispered to him and he just didn't. He didn't I thought it was going to be a bit more bands, to be honest. He's quite serious about his flexibility whispering.
So you were trying to turn it. You were trying to be funny. He's like, I'm not here to make jokes. I'm here to.
So I caught an Uber with him.
So this is how you met him through.
Yeah, we caught an Uber. My dog was sick, and so me and the wife, we took our dog to the vet, and he was in the Uber, and he started telling us about flexibility whispering, and he's like, "Oh, I was at Ground Zero at 9/11." I'm like, "Cool, man." And he's like, "Look up my website," and he's made a website for himself. And so I'm like, "This guy's banned." So I'm like, "Rod, you got to be on the podcast." He's like, "You got to come do a flexibility session with me first."
Just him touching his toes at Ground Zero.
Well, it was just in some random like community sort of room gym in Bondi Junction, and he was like wearing like long johns and stuff. You know those what old people wear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like,
Oh man, this guy's
he just pushing me and stuff. He just pushed me. He goes, "It shouldn't hurt," and then he immediately pushes me where it hurts. I'm like, I don't know. So I had him on. Then I had Luke Kidgel and Blake Pavey.
Yep.
And then I called her Australia's funniest sex worker.
Yep.
And she wore like a balaclava.
Yeah, I did see that part.
Hilarious stories.
I saw the balaclava and I thought it was who were the Russian punk band? Do you know the ones that were like
Pussy Riot.
Pussy Riot? I was like, Frenchy's gone political. I was like,
I would love to be political. But yeah, because I do try to mix up and get the sex workers involved, but also just the streams wise. Makes a lot more sense to me go down that route because so far the least listens has been Luke Kidgell's episode.
Seriously?
He's like Australia's biggest comedian at the moment.
Yeah.
Mental.
Biggest name.
Guys are so horny, bro. Guys are so horny.
Who do you want to listen to? Do you want to listen to Frenchy talk to Australia's biggest comedian or a stripper? I think a stripper sounds good.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
and I'm not
bro.
listening. I'm watching the YouTube.
Yeah,
I'm watching it.
Can you put this shit on mute, please?
Crazy.
Because your first one was called Frenchy Goes to a Strip Club, right?
Yeah.
Did you go to a strip club?
Yeah, I went to Sefton Playhouse,
Yeah.
bro. It's the one out west. It's so dope. It's like, because I've only ever been to the ones in the city, and the ones in the city are kind of like just small. They're very different. Sefton's its own thing. It's got it's got a shower stage where the girls can have showers and you watch them like have a shower and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
They've got pokies. They've got a tab. They've got
Food?
three
They got
different
food?
stages. Oh yeah, they got food, bro. They got everything.
And I was like, why would you ever leave? They got everything I need.
Sick place. I'm
That's
really into it.
It must be good to have.
They got Daytona, bro.
They got Daytona?
What?
Yes, in the club.
They got Buck Hunter?
No, Buck Hunter. That's
No,
good.
Buck
Sure,
Hunter.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
That would be more
Just
of a draw card for me.
slut
Actually.
hunter.
Yeah. They just hand out paintball guns.
All right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's more attention to detail. There's more fun. There's more customer service.
Plus, it must be good having a strip club out west because none of the strippers have to think about the huge commute they'll have at the end of the night.
For real. You're not wrong here. But it is interesting because I've always found the sex industry a lot. Well, obviously, everyone finds it interesting, but I was like, why don't I just get more of them on the podcast as opposed to just whoever's in my house
As
at the
opposed
time.
to Australia's most successful independent comedian.
Boring.
Boring. Does he have tits though? No tits.
So, Luke, you ever fucked anyone for money?
He hasn't. I did ask. I led with that.
Oh,
Said-
well, you can. I'll wear one of those pairs of like fake tits if you ever get me on.
Oh, okay. Done.
Yeah.
Done. Done. What are you wearing?
I'll just be
You fuck the
co-host
fake
on Hammer.
tits. No, but it is fun. It is. I was just trying to get different guests on because I had a duo podcast for a while with one of my good friends, Tom, and then when I went into solo, I thought, you know what? Let's just get weird. Yes, let's get the sex workers, but also guests you don't see coming. So the one I've got this week is actually Austin Powers impersonator.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
Groovy.
So comedians get it. I posted a picture with him and go, I've got this guy on, ask him anything. And everyone's like, what the fuck is this?
So are you doing the podcast in character as Austin Powers, or are you asking him about what it's like being an Austin Powers?
I wanted to ask him what it was like being an Austin Powers impersonator. He doesn't want to drop character. The whole fucking podcast.
Oh, I would want him as Austin Powers. You didn't want that.
I wanted him for a bit. The first 10, 15 minutes, it's bands, but like, bro, 25 minutes of listening to, oh, yeah, baby, shag it down. Well, I was in stasis, wasn't I? So I don't know what's going on, the geopolitical tensions of Palestine and Israel.
Yeah, you're so right. Yeah.
And then got to a point where I stopped the podcast. I'm like, I don't actually know how to do this, bro. Can I ask you, like, as like what it's like being an impersonator? Like, do you do that? He's like, oh no, I don't really like the Blake character. I'm like, can you go get changed? And then we'll do 2 separate pods. Like,
And then he comes.
oh no, I took a whole thing to get the suit on.
He comes out as Wayne's World. He's like, party time, excellent. Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, without that part, you're right. It would get tired very quickly.
Get tired very quickly. Like, he was a great bloke, and then eventually, the way we got around, eventually, I was like, we had to ask him about his friend Steve. I go, I heard your friend Steve does impersonations. He goes, yeah, well, he does other characters, my friend. He's a gorilla sometimes.
Okay, so the Austin Powers impersonator had to speak about his real self in the third person just to get
so
this
funny,
podcast
yeah.
to actually get any content.
Me
Oh,
mate
yeah.
Steve, he's having a bit of a tough time at the moment. His wife's left him. He's real sad right now. Kind of needs a friend at the moment.
My mate Steve actually grew up in the army. He started in the army. And I was like, oh, this is so interesting, but without the whole... It was a very interesting experience for me. And then I got this other mate who does cameos sometimes. He dressed as like John Cena from Wish. He got
Oh yeah.
bald. Oh no, not John Cena. Who's the other one? Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin from Wish. So he got a bald cap. He had Austin 316 on his shirt.
Couple of beers.
And so he's sitting on the couch next to Austin Powers, talking in third person about
Austin
Steve.
316.
Well, he doesn't want to drop his character as a Steve Austin impersonator from WrestleMania. So I was just fucking mental, but not in a good way. I took it long edit. It was a long edit.
All right. Well, make sure to tune into that, vloggers.
Oh yeah,
Give it a listen.
if you want. Just watch Austin Powers again, maybe.
I mean, where to from there?
Back to the girls, I think. Back to the club.
Do you have someone that you that assists you in finding people talent, or do you do it all yourself?
I do the DMs if you think you've got to use a little blue tick to get them on board. But my German producer, Kim, he helped get Australia's funniest sex worker. I don't know how he knew her.
Yeah.
I don't think he told.
Is that a title that she's gotten from somewhere else, or did you bestow her with the title?
I gave it to her.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Clickbait, baby.
Yeah, nice. That's good.
Because she was funny. I thought she was very funny. And then if someone, like there's do I say prostitute still?
Sex worker, I believe.
Oh, you can't say
Sexy
it?
I
worker.
think you can say it. I think if you're going to do the Chinese accent and you're going to chuck faggot around on the podcast,
Yeah, that's where I'm drawing the line. I want to get the pronouns right. So she's a very funny prostitute.
fucking hell. Good luck with this edit, Dan Muggleton.
And I was like, if anyone else listening, they're like, no, I'm funnier than her. I'm like, oh, come on the podcast.
That's
prove
smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
That's the plan.
Good stuff.
That's the plan. Hasn't worked yet, but
What? Because you think there's a whole army of sex workers?
yeah,
listening to the
sex
pod?
workers are funny. I had this real rough one at a show once. I was just editing before coming here called Ricky Lee down Warrnambool. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm Ricky Lee. How you going?" I'm like, and she was heckling me from the start, going, like licking her fingers. And I'm like, "What do you do, Ricky Lee?" She's like, "I work in athlete's foot." She's like, smoky voice.
Oh, God.
That's terrifying.
60, 55 years old.
You going to
Could have been
Warrnambool?
30, who knows?
You kind of Warrnambool, Hamo?
No, I don't think that's on the list.
You have to get Ricky
missing
Lee next time.
But yeah, she ended up being a prostitute back in the day, and she was very funny. Like, I want to get her on, but I don't know how to find her.
It's
Ricky
meant to
Lee,
be.
if you're listening,
Yeah.
Ricky
She might be
Lee.
a fan.
Big
Frenchy
fan
wants
of
to get
Flog.
back in touch.
Big fan of Flog Cabin.
Oh,
That's the Flog. What is your listeners called? The Flogs?
Floggers.
Floggers.
The Floggers.
We're the
Love that.
Flogs.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to wrap it up. We're running out of time on the SD card. Frenchy, where can people find you?
Just type in Frenchy with a Y.
Yeah. All right.
That's what I would have done.
It's anywhere. In a Word document, in an Excel spreadsheet.
On the search things. The Frenchy Show is the new podcast. Give it a listen.
Why
Check out
is
the
your
Frenchy
Instagram to handle Sunga Attack?
Oh, bro.
It's a long story.
It's not a long story. It's just I just started a channel with I'm only wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Real quick, I started the channels and all the things with my mate.
Yeah.
And we're trying to think of a name. And we like the Brazilian Speedos are called sungas.
Yeah.
And we used to love wearing sungas together.
Yeah.
And so he's like, let's call it Sunga Attack. I go, that's a great idea. And then as soon as I did all the branding and dropped the first video, he pulled out.
Oh.
I was like, oh.
But you can change it. You can change the handle. You don't want to change it.
Well, it's just on everything now. It's a whole thing.
All right. Fair enough. There you go. That was hot pod content to finish.
Yeah, bit of knowledge.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, so Frenchy, the way we close, you just, I'm going to say a thing, and then you say check the dodgems, and then he's going to say a thing, and we're done. You ready?
I say what?
Check the dodge.
Check the dodgems.
In Dan Muggleton's voice?
Yeah, if you could do it
try
down
that.
Muggleton's voice, that'd be
We'll do the
ideal.
accent.
Dodgems?
Check the
Check the
dodgems,
dodgems.
like dodgem cars.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, vloggers, keep showing up at the cabin, keep liking, subscribing, tell your friends. Stay flogged up.
Check the dodgems.
Bye.
It's a great 10, Muggleton.